You know, there's this story, it's one of the greatest ever told, and it just keeps repeating itself over and over again. It's a story all about ambition, power, glory, and, of course, ruin. Yeah, we're talking about the story of empire.
Think about it, from the Roman legions to the Mongol hordes. I mean, these powers reached for the absolute heavens, and every single one of them eventually just came crashing down. So the big question, the one that just echoes through history is, why? What is that fatal flaw that seems to be hardwired into the very DNA of every great power? And it almost always starts the same way, right? It's like a single seed of power, a small tribe, maybe a really determined nation that just puts down roots. And then, through sheer will and some brilliant strategy, it just grows. Its branches start to spread out until it's ruling over huge parts of the known world. But here's the thing, anything that's built can also be broken. And every single one of these colossal empires, with no exceptions, has crumbled. It's like they were eaten away from the inside out by pride, corruption, betrayal, until there's just nothing left, just dust and whispers. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. Their falls, they aren't random at all. It's like they follow a pattern, a kind of rhythm, an echo through time. And if we can just listen closely to those echoes, we can start to understand not just the past, but the very nature of power itself. Okay, so let's jump in at the very beginning. How does an empire even get started? Well, it's almost never an accident. It's really forged in this fire of ambition, strategy, and just the right opportunity. Let's take the Romans, for example. I mean, these guys basically wrote the blueprint for Empire 101. Their power wasn't just about the legendary discipline of their soldiers. No way. It was also about the incredible engineering, all those roads connecting everything, and a system of laws so brilliant it's still shaping our world today. See, they didn't just conquer, they connected. And you could say, they civilized. But sometimes that seed of empire isn't a whole system. It's just one person, a single visionary leader. And for the Mongols, that person was, of course, Genghis Khan. His vision and his leadership were just completely unmatched. He took this scattered collection of nomadic tribes and somehow unified them into maybe the most feared and efficient conquering force the world has ever seen. And their strategy, wow, it was an absolute masterclass in psychological warfare. This was not just about brute force, not at all. It was about lightning speed that just paralyzed their enemies. It was about a reputation for terror so intense that cities would often surrender without even putting up a fight. And they had this incredible intelligence network, which meant they pretty much always knew what their enemy was going to do next. All right, so after that initial explosive phase of conquest, every empire has its moment in the sun. You know, its golden age. It's that period of time when it seems totally invincible, its culture is at its peak, and its power is just absolute. The sun is at high noon. For Rome, this was the famous Pax Romana, the Roman peace. And get this, for 2 whole centuries, the Mediterranean world was mostly free from major conflict. Trade was booming, ideas were spreading like wildfire, and the empire was enjoying this period of stability and prosperity that was just unheard of. This was the absolute peak of their power. Fast forward a few centuries, and the British Empire hits a similar peak. You've heard the saying, the sun never sets on the British Empire, right? Well, that wasn't just them bragging, it was literally true. Their empire was so massive, so global, that at any given moment, the sun was shining on a British flag somewhere. Their navy ruled the seas, and their influence shaped entire continents. So what are we really talking about when we say golden age? Well, it's that moment of like perfect balance. The military is dominant, the government is running smoothly, the economy is on fire, and the culture is confident and spreading. It's that moment when an empire feels like it's gonna last forever. But as we all know, noon doesn't last forever. The sun has to set eventually. And right at the peak, at the very height of their power, that's when the first tiny, almost invisible cracks start to appear in the foundations. The rot, it always starts from within. And this is where it gets really, really interesting because it seems to be a universal challenge. Every empire, no matter which one, ends up fighting a war on 2 fronts. On one hand, you've got the external threats, rival powers, enemies at the gates, you name it. But on the other, you've got this far more dangerous enemy, the one on the inside. We're talking about its own corruption, its greed, its political decay. And while the symptoms might look a little different from empire to empire, the disease is usually the same. For Rome, it was a whole string of weak, ineffective emperors that basically hollowed out the empire from the inside. For the Ottomans,
Centuries of internal decay earned them the nickname the sick man of Europe. And for the Mongols, well, their empire just shattered because it couldn't handle the infighting among its own rulers. Bottom line, internal weakness is the great killer of empires. So once those internal cracks start to get wider, the whole structure becomes unstable. And then, when that final push comes, doesn't matter if it's from the inside or the outside, the collapse can be just terrifyingly fast. And so often, that fatal wound is self-inflicted. The center just can't hold it together anymore. You start to see political infighting, civil wars, assassinations. It all becomes common. The bonds of loyalty that held everything together just dissolve. And the leaders, they become way more obsessed with their rivals at home than with the actual enemy at the gates. And all this chaos on the inside, it creates a huge opportunity for the outside. For Rome, it was that relentless pressure from barbarian invasions on their overstretched borders. For the big European empires like the British and the Ottomans, it was the absolute catastrophe of 2 world wars that just shattered their economies and their will to rule. It's like the external enemy comes in and lands the final punch on a body that's already weakened by disease. So, when you break it all down, it becomes super clear. Yeah, each empire's fall is its own unique story, but the themes, they're universal. It's always this toxic cocktail of internal weakness mixed with external pressure. For Rome, you had corruption meeting invasion. For the Mongols, it was fatal division. For the Ottomans and the British, it was internal decay that got supercharged by these devastating global wars. They all took different paths, but they all ended up at the same destination. Okay, so why should we care? Why does any of this stuff about long-dead empires matter to us right now, in the 21st century? Well, because these aren't just old stories. They're basically case studies in power and politics and in human nature itself. The echoes from these fallen giants, they're carrying some serious warnings. Warnings about arrogance, about stretching yourself too thin, and about that dangerous internal division. And these insights are just as relevant to the superpowers of our time as they were 1,000 years ago. So the real question is, are we paying attention? I mean, the lessons are pretty clear, right? Leadership can build an empire, but it can also be the thing that destroys it. A powerful military means nothing if the economy that pays for it collapses. And internal corruption, that's way more dangerous than any foreign army. But maybe the biggest, most humbling lesson of all is that power is never permanent. This cycle of rise and fall, it's not just some story from the past. It really seems to be a fundamental rhythm of history. And that brings us to one last, pretty provocative thought. If this cycle really is timeless, then it has to be happening right now, as we speak. So I want you to look at the world around you through this new lens. Think about the great powers of our age. Which ones look like they're in their golden age? And which ones are starting to show those first few cracks?